Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Tom Gobich, and today I thought I'd make a quick video going over how to implement Tailwind CSS with Angular using Angular CLI. As a quick preface, we will need to eject from Angular CLI, so if you're completely against that, go ahead and exit the video. If you don't have an opinion, let's go ahead and get started. So ng/v shows that I have Angular CLI version 1.5.3. which is using Angular 5, creating new projects in Angular 5, and this video is dated November 22nd, 2017. So let's go ahead and create a new project. Let me go ahead and cd in my code directory here. All right, so ng new, we'll just call it test app, and I'm going to set the style to SCSS so that just as a ways to show that you can use a preprocessor with this. It absolutely works perfectly fine. And while that's installing, we'll go ahead and get into the get started documentation here for Tailwind CSS configuration. And you can either copy the default config or you can use their little config file script. So this will generate the file for you. This will need to create the file and just paste all those values in. So you can do either way that you want. I'm going to go ahead and show the node modules config file generation method. So once these dependencies are installed, we'll go ahead and get started with that. Okie doke. So let's go ahead and cd into our test app project, and we'll go ahead and npm I save dev since it is a dev dependency, Tailwind CSS. And while that's doing that, we'll go ahead and open up the code within our text editor here. Okay, and so if we open back up Hyper, we can see now Tailwind CSS is installed. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in, and for the file name, I'll just call it tailwind.js. Hit enter on that, and what that's going to do is it's going to generate that default configuration for us. So right here, you can see added within the project was tailwind.js, and this is the exact same as what was up on the site that you could have copied and pasted. So, all right. Now we have Tailwind in our Angular project, but the two are not talking together. The way that we're going to do that is within the webpack config, but as you might notice, there is no webpack config, and that's the reason why we have to eject. We have to eject in order to get access to the webpack configuration. So it's pretty simple. All you got to do is type ng eject, and that's going to give us access to the webpack config, but you'll also notice that they added in a couple notes here. So we're no longer going to be able to use ng-serve. That's one of the downsides of ejecting. It's going to give you a little notice saying you've ejected this script is no longer valid. So the equivalent of that is now npm start. So it's not really adding too much more. You got one more letter that you have to type. So it's nothing bad. So npm start will start up basically the exact same as ng-serve or yarn start if you're using yarn. But we also have to do another npm install. It added some more dependencies, as you can see right here. So we have to install those. Okie doke. All right, so those are up. Now it's time to actually tell our webpack configuration how to react to Tailwind and get the two talking together. So we're going to have to bring in Tailwind. So const Tailwind CSS equals require Tailwind CSS. And then right up here at the top where it says post CSS plugins, these are where we're going to be putting our post CSS plugins. So if you have more that you want to add, you can. We're just going to simply be adding Tailwind CSS right now for this video. And then just point that to that configuration file that was generated. So tailwind.js. Cool. And now everything's basically set up on the Webpack side. Everything else is going to be done for you. So if we scroll down a little bit here past all of these RxJS stuff, we now come into the loaders. So we have our CSS loader here, which is loading in the post CSS loader as well, using these post CSS plugins, and it's doing that for each different preprocessor type for CSS, including CSS itself, obviously. So we have Sass, less, stylus, and then just plain old CSS. So it takes care of all that for you, as you would expect something like a CLI to do. So all that you have to do is implement it right there, and everywhere else it's basically golden, no matter what type of preprocessor you're using if you are using one. So now what we have to do is take care of the actual style sheet side. So if we come in here to our global style sheet, we can actually start implementing Tailwind's utilities. So Tailwind preflight, and at Tailwind utilities, as an aside, you can also grab that from within the installation page on the getting started documentation. So it's right here. And here you get all their descriptions and suggestions for where to put things. So basically, in between the preflight and the utilities are going to be your custom components. And then after the utilities are going to be your custom utilities. And then before would be like your fonts or anything like that that you need to load that the entire suite of things depends on. So there we go. We basically have Tailwind now talking to Angular and Angular talking with Tailwind. So now if we come into our app and we come into this app component, get rid of all the boilerplate stuff here, and we actually just go ahead and type in a little bit of Tailwind. So we have width, the full width of the screen, the height, the full height of the screen. The background, we'll just do what, indigo. Did I spell that right? Indigo, we'll just do blue. And then we'll do text white. Flex, item center, justify center. And we'll just do a big old H1 of hello world. So we should have a blue background taking up the entire screen with text in the dead center that is white. And then we come back to hyper, npm start or yarn start. And that will set up our development server. Okay. Come into our browser and go to localhost 4200. And dun 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 dun. Now we have Tailwind CSS inside of our Angular project. So I tried Googling this before just to see if you did need to eject, and I did not see anything really out there describing this. I know it's relatively new, but I figured I'd take care of that void and put up a video for myself. So, or not for myself, but from myself. So, help anybody else out who might be a little curious. So hopefully this video helped you all. If it did, let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer anything that I can. Other than that, I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see y'all in the next one.